So we'll be calling upon our development partners to be able to partner with the Ministry of Water and Sanitation so that we can really be able to fix the issues of sewer in this country. Your Excellency, food security in our country can be enhanced through irrigation. Irrigations remain safe. Irrigation requires safe water to avoid food contamination. Therefore, there is need for improved sanitation, especially for water used for irrigation to boost food and nutrition levels of our people, as the practice in many developed countries. And in this, Your Excellency, you remember you have Garana Kularu irrigation project, and you are using the same water from Adi to do mega irrigation project in Galana. So this also call for concerted. There is a big annual financial gap. Therefore, more innovative financing is required, recognizing the socio-economic values for water and the ecosystem. And as Parliament, Your Excellency, we want to give you an undertaking, together with the delegate here, that we shall be able to do what is humanly possible to ensure when the budgeting cycle begins that we are able to do adequate allocation of adequate budget. And finally, Your Excellency, we have serious legal gaps when it comes to the issues of sanitation. And as a Parliament, we are working together with them that will provide intervention for sanitation challenges in Kenya as we endeavor to achieve the universal sanitation coverage by the year 2030. I thank you.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. Our next speaker is going to be Senator Gedhiomi.
We are showcasing that as a country, we are really ready to scale up sanitation as envisioned in the Constitution of Kenya, that every person has a right to reasonable standards of sanitation. It is indeed agreeable that sanitation access is low in both urban and rural areas, and this has greatly resulted in the enormous economic costs, majorly due to premature deaths and increased healthcare costs of treating waterborne-related diseases. Higher rates of urbanization and growing population has increased demand on water supply, and this has negatively affected the quality of water due to heavy population resulting from domestic waste, industrial waste, and solid waste. The pollution of water continues to grow as a result of wastewater being discharged in consumption patterns, as well as elaboration of an integrated approach in order to enhance resilience and to tackle extreme events such as flood and drought. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, let me say that water and sanitation are key determinants in all aspects of socio-economic and through scaling up finances in sanitation infrastructural projects. As the Senate Committee on Lands, Environment and Natural Resources, we are committed to work towards elaboration of integrated approach on water issues, including universal access to safe drinking water and sanitation, better resource management on the basis of respecting ecosystems, requirements, pollution prevention, and reuse. I thank you.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. Your Excellency, our next speaker.
Use and recycling of wastewater in ensuring health for the people and the environment. So basically, we are going to be looking and exploring around areas of technology and innovation within the containment of wastewater, conveyancing of wastewater, treatment of this water, safe disposal or reuse our rivers and waterways. The high population growth is going to demand for more shelter. As we do more shelter, we know that the traditional sewer system is very expensive. So how can we promote on-site treatment or decentralized treatment as we do to say anymore, because our role here is really to listen. And I would like to take this opportunity to welcome our Cabinet Secretary, the Honorable Chalugui, to make his remarks and welcome the Deputy President. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam CS Winegushu. Your Excellency, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, the Honorable Dr. William Samoei Ruto, my colleague, Cabinet Secretary for East Africa and Regional Development, Honorable Heden Mohamed. Maybe you can stand for acknowledgement, please. CS, thank you very much. The CSS present, I think they were just mentioned, kindly stand for acknowledgement to the Mwangi Githiomi of National Assembly and Senate, our Principal Secretary, Ministry of Water and Sanitation, Bwana Joseph Irungu, and all the members of the various institutions in the Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, chairs, CEOs, directors, our distinguished development partners who have worked and journeyed with us all the steps of our way, and distinguished members and delegates present, good afternoon. Thank you so much. Your Excellency, we as Ministry of Water and Sanitation are very excited by your presence. And of course, we also know that His Excellency the President was also willing, other than other national, always attention. And through this conference, we hope to speak to the challenges that we face now and in future. As we work towards increasing water delivery to our cities, to our towns, our county headquarters, and our big cities, we also know that out of the water that we deliver and bring to us to push the sanitation. And I wish at this point, I wish to inform you, Your Excellency, our target is 80% on water and 40% on sewer by 2022. To achieve this, Your Excellency, we require heavy financial and technical investment. We have mapped and assessed ourselves and require a continuous investment of about 100 billion. And this will give us the results that we desire. The water sector has also expanded to irrigation, to cover irrigation, which is a key driver of the Big Four. And Your Excellency, we now have gray water and the blue water. And we think the gray water, or the water coming, what we call wastewater, can actually be treated to bring about 20,000 through development of Dawa River. However, we still have a challenge with the transboundary water. So, Your Excellency, with all these schemes and programs, we are seeing growth in terms of water provision, sanitation coverage, and also food production. Your Excellency, to realize this objective, we continue to request for support from Government of Kenya and our development partners. Through this conference, I hope that we will be able to match our thinking and be able to develop one common call to give this country the dignity and the water and the potable water and the honor of providing food to our own people. In conclusion, Your Excellency, we are also carrying out corrective measures table. We look forward that this partnership continues so that our people can benefit. So, as I conclude, Your Excellency, I wish to thank those who have supported us, as mentioned by the PS and the CAS, and we look forward, President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto. Let us be upstanding and 3 rounds of a clap as we welcome our Deputy President. Your Excellency.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Take your seats. Is to a great extent tied to matters water and sanitation. And because water is an enabler for all the big 4 programs, whether you are looking at food security and nutrition, manufacturing, housing, and universal health coverage, all the 4, prosperity for all and enhance the enjoyment of liberties and freedoms, the preamble of our Constitution recognizes the aspiration of Kenyans and the state's solemn desire to nurture and protect the well-being of individuals, of families, of communities, and of the nation. Our Constitution establishes, among others, basic rights to food, water, and sanitation under Article 43, while Article 28 gives citizens the right to dignity, which must be respected and must be protected. Access to improved sanitation is an ideal yardstick to measure the quality of life, to find a rightful place among the community of nations, and therefore proactively implements UN treaties, conventions, protocols, and goals that primarily focus on poverty alleviation and human dignity. Access to water and sanitation services is recognized and prioritized as a key pillar of Kenya's socio-economic development domestically under our Constitution and internationally through the UN Sustainable Development Goals, which our nation subscribes to and which we advocate for universal access by the year 2030. Indeed, we are currently in the UN Decade for Water, 2018-2028, and sanitation. Distinguished guests, in the early years of our independence up to the year 1999, water and sanitation services were undertaken unilaterally by the ministry in charge of water under the central government. Whereas some progress was achieved due to the vastness of our land and the nation, the centralized system experienced immense challenges resulting in poor service delivery. This situation seriously inhibited the progress and strengthened in the 2010 Constitution under the devolved system of government. This new dispensation and the enactment of Water Act of 2016 has created an enabling environment for water and sanitation sector to operate and to thrive. I am happy to note that this streamlining of the water sector institutions has led to improved and has been convened at an opportune moment when the world is focusing its and resources in increasing access to sustainable service delivery in water and sanitation, so as to ensure that no Kenyan is left behind. And I want to agree that our own Madam Gushu, our CS at the Ministry of Water and Sanitation, has provided leadership in this sanitation space, and I want to congratulate her for being the Mama Safi that we have been told. However, I was reminded of the sanitation sector, which is now expanded to include irrigation, is a key driver of our Big Four agenda for the development of our nation, which is aimed at accelerating attainment of universal health care, affordable housing, and boosting manufacturing for job creation, as well as food security in our country. I take note that provision of quality and sustainable sanitation services plays a central role in preventive health, which, if sustained, breaks the disease-poverty cycle and therefore contributes immensely to the wider agenda of poverty alleviation, healthy living, and wealth creation. Save Water, or Save Wastewater Disposal, supports food security through use of recycled water. We are also strengthening government regulatory institutions such as the National Environmental Management Authority and the Water Resource Authority to further empower them in the enforcement of regulations to avoid pollution of our water resources. Industries are required to include pre-treatment facilities of raw waste into waterways. Major pollution also emanates from improper disposal of solid waste, especially in our cities and towns. Dumping of domestic and other solid waste on the riverbanks is not a solution and must be discouraged. The sensitization of water and sanitation customers at all levels is another intervention equally important to enhance sanitation standards. Children in primary and secondary school need an early introduction to the best practice of water usage so as to avoid tendencies that could lead to wastage and pollution. In this regard, I'm directing the Ministry of Education to introduce a compulsory curriculum on water and sanitation in all our schools. Distinguished guests, the rate of increasing access to water and sanitation services has been progressive, although slow. The current access to clean, safe water is 62% in 2022 and universal coverage by the year 2030. Going by these statistics, it is clear that increasing coverage, especially for sanitation, is a major challenge, which must be addressed by all concerned stakeholders. A key strategy to accelerate sanitation coverage may be to install improved on-site, to increase coverage for the underprivileged. My administration is vigorously promoting and embarking on the implementation of strategies, especially the pro-poor implementation plan, in order to fast-track access to water and sanitation services for the underserved. This conference, as you chart the way forward for the sector, to critically weigh the options available and come up with practical solutions to upscale sanitation to meet the targets of achieving universal coverage by 2030. Under the medium-term plan, the Government of Kenya has scaled up intervention to accelerate the achievement of universal access to water and reasonable sanitation by 2030. Some of the major projects earmarked to increase water coverage are Mwache Dam, which will supply approximately 180,000 cubic meters of water per day to the residents of Mombasa County; Northern Collector Tunnel, which will supply approximately 140,000 cubic meters of water per day to the residents of Nairobi; Karemenu Dam to supply approximately 70,000 cubic meters of water per day to Ruto. List them here. Distinguished guests, as you are aware, the level of sanitation coverage in the country has remained low for a long period of time. To address the situation, the government in 2018 prioritized access to sanitation for planning and investment. In this regard, we are investing close to 80 billion shillings in 3 years for rehabilitation and expansion of sewage infrastructure in the country. The investment is in the following: and sanitation in 19 towns, and to establish the program will improve existing sewage facilities in Nairobi and satellite towns that include Kiambu, Ruiru, Juja, Gatundu, Kiseria, Jogoria, Meru, Embu, Kerugoya Kutus, Oyugis, Kendu Bay, Usega, and Unguja will benefit through construction of new sewage infrastructure. The Kenya Town's Sustainable Water Supply and Sanitation Program is set to be complete in June 2021. And the Minister, the CS and his PS and the CS understand that time is of the essence, and we will be monitoring to see how far of water supply and sanitation services. On completion of the project, 442,000 additional people will have access to sanitation services. The third program is the Lake Victoria Water and Sanitation Project that will target Kisumu and its environs and illegal connections to water and sewerage infrastructure that lead to waste and damage. In view of this, the government of Kenya has intensified corrective actions that include reclaiming riparian lands, water catchment areas, and forests. Recently, I formed the Interministerial Committee to develop and implement a framework for the restoration of rivers, because that Kenya requires an annual budgetary allocation of 100 billion Kenya shillings for the maintenance and rehabilitation of water and sanitation infrastructure. However, to allocate extra resources to this critical sector. It should also be borne in mind that in order to further upscale the sanitation segment, Kenya will need to invest upwards of Kenya shillings 50 billion annually to enable the attainment of universal access to reasonable sanitation by 2030. It is in that is tasked with considering viable options and formulating tangible and actionable solutions to rapidly source for financial resources and technical assistance for the rehabilitation and expansion of sewage and other sanitation infrastructure around the country. Opportunities abound for partnerships and collaborative arrangements between the public and the private sectors in the arena of sanitation, ensuring that the high-quality sanitation services and infrastructure are developed with affordable access to the same by all Kenyans. And when we talk about public-private partnership, already we are well underway. It's now my humble duty to declare this conference officially opened. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Shall we all be upstanding for the national anthem?